Thank you so very much for tuning in to the Raymond Hall Show. We're here, and our banner is Service is a Different Conversation, and the entire program is about highlighting those organizations that give service in the community. Everybody is not going to have the same service at the same time and in the same place. But this program is here because it wants to let you know that service is vitally important. Service is the one thing that throughout time all people have given. You can look at no matter what nationality or how you identify yourself. That each and every community that's a part of this nation has given service that has added to the strength of this nation. And the strength of the nation is what gives the nation its ability to be able to stand in liberty. I am so very grateful to be here, and this is a special show for me. We weren't here last week. We were on hiatus due to technical difficulties and a few other things here at the show, so we are glad to be back on point here. But yesterday I celebrated my 18th anniversary with this heart transplant. And to me, it's nothing short of God's grace that I'm even here. So I waited 6 years for the transplant. I was in and out of so many hospitals, and I heard so many things that this show, instead of trying to surround myself and bring onto the show guests that were talking about different things, I wanted to keep this show kind of basic. I wanted to keep this show focused on what caused this show to be able to be broadcast. I need to thank some people that are very special people. If I did not first and foremost thank God, who is my God, and I have come to understand God and my Heavenly Father and my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, then I would not be maturing and growing spiritually. But I that's where I am in my life now. With that said, you hear people say that you may have one friend in your life or you may have two friends in your life. I didn't call each and every person and tell them, hey, I'm going to call your name here on the Raymond Hall Show. So I didn't get permission for to call their name. But there are giants in my life. There are people that when I was not at my best, they came and they offered a level of comfort, or they offered a level of care, or they offered a level of concern. That too is service. Because when someone offers you a level of concern or comfort at a time that you need it, it helps you to move to the next point, no matter what's coming in front of you. You hear the heart transplant, and some of you do and some of you don't know. I still have today a letter where in February of 2000, I was given a letter that said I was too sick, too confused, and I'd never be able to handle a heart transplant. And so the VA doctors sent me to hospice care. Now, it was a more complicated situation, so I don't want to just jump on the VA here. It's not that at all. When someone gets an agenda, or when an organization gets an agenda, anything can go wrong and anything can go awry. The point is that you have to have something in this life that's bigger than you to hold on to. Because if someone gives you something that can just decimate you, devastate you, whether it's a health issue or economic issue or a family issue, you have to have something that's greater than you to hold on to. And that was a time when I needed that concern and care and those kind of things. So when I was given that letter, yes, it was devastating that I received the letter. But the other thing that was important, I had people around me who cared for me, irrespective of what I was given. They cared for me. And by that, and by God's grace, I was able to go to another hospital, and the doctor said, well, yeah, you need a heart transplant. That's not going to change. But this part about you not being able to handle the capacity of what a heart transplant takes, we don't know about that. We'll see. If you're willing, we're willing to try. That's the bottom line to life. If you're willing and you're willing to try, you will have some successes that other people will stand by and wonder, how did that happen? People ask me often, well, Mr. Hall, what is the secret to having a heart transplant and living 18 years? Well, I don't really call it a secret. I just give thanks, give praise where thanks and praise is due. And I remember that I'm not the sinner here. That was something that I had to realize. And you all bear with me because I have a cold. And so if I have to clean my nose, it's just a part of the life. But I've come to realize that in life, there's going to be times when you're not the object. You're not the center. You're just going to be on the periphery, something to offer service or give service or lend service and that kind of thing. So when we get out of our understanding that we're not the center each and every time, that we're there to support certain things, support certain causes, then that's when we're going to be at our best. So in this transplant, in this post-transplant, I realized something. Yes, I've been given the transplant. Yes, I have another opportunity to live another day. Yes, someone left this earth, and because they left this earth, I'm able to continue. But that didn't put me in an island where I'm not going to have to deal with life itself. That didn't put me on a street where I'm not going to have to make decisions, and some of those decisions are going to be right, and some of those decisions are going to be wrong. That didn't put me in a house that's going to keep me safe from all of the things that come in from life that are issues that you're going to have to deal with. No, what it says is you're not the object. And that's what service is about. That's what the men and women who came before us are about. You ask yourself, or I've asked myself a number of times, and this is just not, it's specifically to the slave. I don't want to get this confused. No other people were bought here in chains and in slavery, but the people of color, Africans, and we are the descendants of those as African Americans, those of us who are. But this touches on a big, broader issue. Whatever that thing is that was the burden of you, or the burden of your people, or the labor, or the generations of boundness of you or your people, that was on someone else. You didn't put the burden on you. You didn't bound yourself. Someone else, through economic conditions or economic advantage for them, cheap labor or whatever the cause may have been, they did that. The difference is what came out of that. You had people that were enslaved that said, I still will be of service. So while an enslaved people had someone who offered horrific conditions to their human bodies, who treated them absolutely with no respect at all, forget little respect, but no respect. They had no respect, no rights as humans until the 3/5 rule came up, and we think that that's still around today. But they offered service. How do you think cotton got to be king? Not because of the slave, but because of the service that the slave gave. How do you think the tobacco got to be the best tobacco in the world? Not because of the slave, but because of the service that the slave gave. See, you can't beat service out of anyone. You can beat on them and make them get on the line, or beat on them to make them to shut up, but you can't beat service out of them. Service is that thing that has been afforded you and I through the difficulties and the struggles of others. It doesn't mean that all of us have to serve in the armed forces of the United States. It doesn't mean that all of us have to strive to be physicians. It doesn't even mean that all of us have to strive to live on the other side of town. Curtis told you about it. Curtis Mayfield, I love his music, by the way. Curtis said, I'm from the other side of town, out of bounds. For anybody that don't live around, people that's coming from the other side of town looking in, they don't understand it because what they see is not what's going on at all. So service doesn't mean you move away and try to do something if that's not what you're called to do. The Raymond Hall Show is about one thing. It's about letting you know that there is a value and a virtue to service and serving. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter what gender you are. It doesn't matter where you live. It doesn't matter how much money you have in the bank. Service just simply says, I'll take my time, my talent, my resources, and do something that's yearning in my heart to do. You see, the people who don't want you to serve has a benefit. When you serve and look out for your neighbor or look out for those that are around you, then the people that would harm your neighbor or harm the people around you have to find something else to do, have to find another way to do it. This is the Raymond Hall Show, and it's a day of grace for us here at the Raymond Hall Show, because that 18-year celebration yesterday, the realization is it came one breath at a time. You breathe the breath in and you blow a breath out. And here's the realization, irrespective whether you believe or don't believe, Zenist, Buddhist, Baptist, Methodist, it's true for us all. Breath in, breath out. In between a breath in and a breath out, we leave this earth. We stop breathing. And no matter what we say or what we do, what we believe, what we don't believe, I'm an atheist, whatever you want to say, when you leave this earth, that is the beginning of your eternity. So do something with the ability to have service. This is the Raymond Hall Show. We'll be right back. Started out talking about the day of grace for me. The people I want to thank are, and everybody should get you a list. I think it's encouraging when you write your list down of people that you just want to thank, people that have just in one way or another encouraged you. Now, my list is so long. It's people that have just said kind words or offered kind thoughts. But there are a few who we've just been together for years. And I want to invite everyone, make you a list of gratefulness. You're just grateful to have them in your life or whatever it is. And you can have a list that's long or short, or it doesn't matter. But Kathy Turner is someone that I met when I went to University Hospital. And my mother had passed, and she was had a very responsible position as a nurse. And she comforted me, and we became friends right there, right then, because she sat and listened to me talk about my mother. My mother, Anastasia Hall, a mother of 7 who didn't tell you anything. She showed you how to do something. She didn't send you to church. She took you to church, and she looked at you to make sure that you was paying attention to the preacher. Thank God. She went on to graduate from Lemoyne University the same year that my oldest sister graduated from high school at Booker Washington High School. She didn't tell us how to do it. She showed us how to do it. And she made a way for each and every one of her children to go to college. Me, I went on to the Marine Corps and came back, and that was a whole different situation. But then there's Mrs. Renee Katz. I met Mrs. Katz long before I got to USC. And when you lose a company that you struggle to build, when something that you have said that I'm going to make my livelihood through this, when you open up a company and now things get better and you're able to employ people and you know their livelihood is coming through you, and then you get so sick you have to let them know that you're going to have to let them go. This is the point in my life that I was when I met Mrs. Katz, and she was a nurse there at the VA. These are people that are friends today. Oh, you may not talk to them as much, but you know they're there and you know they're friends. The doctors, Dr. Mark Barr, Dr. Starnes, and my thoracic cardiologist today. I would be remiss without talking about her, Dr. LaWanda Grisette. You don't have to look far to pattern yourself after people. They're right here around you. When things are going good, I've got 10 pages of people that were in my life when things was going good. But when the wheels absolutely fell off, and then some kind soul came and took the wheels, and someone says to you, but it's going to be okay. And here's my contribution to assure you it's going to be okay. And you look up 18 years later and you're still friends. That's your list of grace. So there's many more. I've got family. I've got friends. My friend Ahmad in Memphis, we've been together as friends since 76. We watched each other grow up, marriages, children grown, you know, the whole thing. Get your list of gratefulness. Remember that you must move yourself out of the center. You're not the center. We come to this world and we come for a reason. I can't stay and sit and think about the contributions that has kept me alive. See, here at the Raymond Hall Show, it's a different conversation because it raises questions like this. You speak to the right of life, and everybody wants to talk about the right of life and this and that. But what about living? You want everybody to be born. You say you don't want no more abortions. You don't want a woman to be able to choose what she wants to do with herself. I'm not advocating one way or the other because I'm a man. I'm not able to birth anyone. I can only give seed. But then when the child gets here, you already got a prison built waiting for him. You already got somebody standing there with some drugs standing there waiting for him. You already got a clown with a pound of drugs waiting for him. I agree with you with the right of life. But what about the right of living? If you write your list down, your list of gratefulness, as you're writing, you're going to have several thoughts that's going to come to mind. It's going to help you direct you to the things that's in your life, what it is in my life, what kind of service can I offer? Those are but a few of the people that's on my list of gratefulness. I think of this broadcast here. I thank you all. I am thankful for each and every one of you. Many of you may not know it, but Mr. Johnny Morris, Felicia Morris is his daughter and the owner of this studio, but Mr. Johnny Morris played a big part in my life because at a time when I just felt that my job was to speak about service. And Raymond, where did you get this service from? I waited 6 years for the heart transplant. I waited in and out of so many hospitals that I didn't even know what hospital sometime I was in, my heart would go into failure. So while I waited most of the time, I was at the VA hospital and I met men 99% of the time, but a few women, but I met men who had served this nation honorably through active military service and had continued in service in their community. And no one knew their story. No one knew how the library got in their community because they kept serving after they served nationally. Nobody knew how the park that their children played in got there because those men and women who served nationally kept serving in order to make that park to be there. Nobody knew how that stop sign or that stop light got there. But these men and women, after serving the nation, serving at times that was most difficult, Vietnam, Korea, World War II, or even serving in peacetime at a time it was just serving at difficult stations. Who wants to stand out in the cold where it's 20 degrees or 30 degrees and you've got to stand there at a certain posture in a certain position for a certain amount of hours? But this is what they did in service to this nation. And then they came home to their community and said, I can do more. That was for two reasons. The park wasn't for them. The park was for the children of you and I. The elementary school wasn't for them. The elementary school was for the children of you and I. See, oftentimes you'll know that it's service because when it's service, oftentimes it's not going to directly and immediately benefit you. But when you look at the value, it's going to benefit generations to come after you. You may or you may not get a thank you. Service. So here at the Raymond Hall Show, this day of gratefulness, we're thankful that we are able to be here at Morris Media Studios where Mr. Johnny Morris, when I first got started, he didn't look at me, oh, look at this rookie, look at this. He encouraged me. He said something to me. He said, you know, young man, I've been doing this a long time. And for the first time in a long time, I actually stopped and listened to your show. And that word encouraged me. When I got sick, he would inquire about me. And now, here I am in Morris Media Studios. And Felicia Morris, the principal, the owner of this studio, makes it possible for this community to be able to boldly say that we have a highly technical studio that is able to produce all kinds of programming using the latest technology. Right here in the community, service. The young women and men that work in the studio, highly skilled, highly technical. So we're thankful to Morris Media Studios. Mrs. Erica Flynn Walker, you haven't seen her for some time, but Mrs. Erica Flynn Walker is part of the reason why this show is here today. The work that she did in research, the work that she did in when it's not having a heart transplant doesn't say that you're going to get 15, 18 years of wonderful days. You're going to get some tough days. And part of her strength was being able to stand in and stand up and keep moving. all of the wonderful guests who have come to the show and shared information with you so you could be able to take it back and share it with others. That's what the show is about, service. All of the sponsors and the people who say, Raymond, we'll be of service in a financial way. Service. You go to our webpage and you'll see the Raymond Hall Show, home of a senior salute. And the senior salute speaks specifically to the points that I was just bringing up, the service of those men and women that are now senior in age, that serve this nation honorably in active U.S. military service and then continued in service. So we have a program that's called a senior salute that we do nationwide. And you can go to our webpage, go to a senior salute, and you'll see what we're doing, and you can contact us through the information and numbers that's on that page, and we'll respond to you. Why is service so important? In order for someone to get their agenda, and your children is someone's agenda, your children for the good of the nation or someone else's agenda is on someone else's plate. It's on their radar. So you have to ask yourself, if you said, well, how big is America? You said, well, you can go from Maine to Baja California. We know the borders of America, the physical borders of America. You can go from Canada to the southern part, down in Florida, the Panhandle. We know the part. But here's the question. How big is your America? That's the question. Does your America only let you see across the street or across the block? I'm not doing nothing because ain't nobody else doing nothing. Is that the sight of you? But does your America say, let me look to see further? Let me search to have a greater understanding. Smile. Losses are a part of life. At some point, we all lost that last diaper we had. We ain't crying about that. Because with growth, losses will come your way. And something that's a part of you, you will never lose. This is the Raymond Hall Show. We'll be right back. And we are back. You all caught me. I had to do some adjustments. This cold and this runny nose is a little serious. So we're talking about how big is your America. But we also need to address other issues. You know, we just had the elections, and I sat back and I smiled because I didn't even see it coming. You got 28 people running for governor here in California, and 26 cancel everybody out, and somebody else steps in, and everything continues to look strange. We got to do things that make sense. You know, some of it is on us. How do you require your children to be responsible when the parents haven't been responsive? When did, before the vote, you sit down and talk to children about the history of voting? What people went through to vote? What's the importance of voting? I'm guilty of it too. Not once. I was thinking about my son and my daughter. Not once have I ever said to them, you ought to run for an office. Or have you ever thought about running for an office? Encourage them to be a public servant. America has a debt that's really, really past due. I don't think that anyone would dispute that there are levels of injustice, the violence that we see on all levels. Okay, police brutality in communities. Brutality against seniors, brutality against persons with mental challenges. There's service in there somewhere, and service in there somewhere for you and I. Just have to find out where it is that you fit. No, the Marine Corps wasn't for everybody. I'll tell everybody the truth. I wasn't gung-ho running to the Marine Corps. I want to be a Marine. That was the last thing on my mind. I knew I was in trouble because I wasn't in school the way I was supposed to be. So I went to the Air Force. They said it was going to take a month. No, that's too long. I just told you my mother showed us how to do things. I know my mama was going to kill me. Went to the Navy. They said 2 weeks. It's too long. Do you know what a Southern mother can do to a person, a disobedient child, in 2 weeks? That's what I had visions of. So I went to the Army. I figured the Army would take me right on. He said a week. No. You see, my mother had worked a part-time job that summer just to be able to help me. Inside of a full-time job, she had worked extra hours or whatever it was. So now I wasn't sticking around. I went to the Marine Corps, and the man asked one question. He said, can you make an X on that line? I said, yeah. He said, get yo, and he used an expletive that I'm not going to use today. But he said, you get yo so-and-so on that bus. And I was headed for Parris Island, South Carolina. That was February of 1971. So it wasn't a gung-ho thing to be a Marine. I was running away from what I thought was trouble. And I'll tell you this, anytime you run away from your responsibility, you're running from the frying pan to the fire. Because in Parris Island, South Carolina, I ran into things I never ran into before. I grew up in an all-black community, went to an all-black school, went to an all-black church, had all-black social events. So to have to deal with some of the things that I had to deal with, but I learned quickly. I'm not going to cry if you catch me. I'm not going to even look at you, so I don't care if you cry if I catch you. And that was my motto. I'm thankful that God has allowed me to live past some of my foolishness. Don't think that his word is just something that you read. That's why I'm saying it to these young people. Don't let them fool you. It's value inside of that word. It's value that teaches you how to live. It's value that teaches you how to understand. America has a debt because America has been given grace. And once it gives grace, it's supposed to afford grace because grace has been given to it. It has not afforded that grace. Each and every individual that you meet has the capacity to learn. But that's dependent on someone having the capacity to teach. How did I do the 18? Breath in, breath out. Is that job for you? You think that's it? We all have seen it. You go to work. You got a note on everything. Services says I can do something that's not going to have a note on it. Service says that I'm going to do something and it's something that I want to do. And so I'm going to do it. And it's not something that somebody's telling me that I have to do. And if I don't pay for it, they're going to charge me interest rates and all of those kind of things. This is the Raymond Hall Show, a different conversation. We don't sell anything here. Service is the fabric of this nation. In order for someone to strip your home and my home of dignity, of respect, of understanding, they must come through and take out the spirit of service. That's how they get into our homes. That's how they destroy futures for our children when we do not recognize the value of service. Let me be of service even though I'm tired and worked all day to go and see what this PTA meeting is about, because next year my child will be at this school and I need to know what this school is about through this PTA meeting. Let me go and see what kind of jobs they're talking about in this community. Because my son or my daughter deserve to be able to get some kind of little summer job in the community, so they don't align themselves with their energy with something else that's non-productive. Service. Look past your door. Look past your gate. Look past that can benefit you. Take you out of the center and says, I am just here to be of service in this instance. We got a couple of events coming up, and we're going to talk about those when we come back and we do these last little 10 minutes. We'll be right back. This is the Raymond Hall Show. Thank you. Boy, this hour seems to go so fast. We want to thank everyone again for tuning in to the Raymond Hall Show. You know, there are three things that touches our heart. They say that the heart of a nation are its children. The jewel of the nation are its seniors. And the stewards of the nation are its veterans. The heart of the nation is because everybody wants the children to just grow up and do and be and just do everything they want to do. But seniors have put that work in. It's like the coal that's in the ground, and the longer you let it stay there, the more it builds toward that diamond. Well, these seniors have given work all of their lives. They have come to that diamond stage of life. We need to make sure that we do everything that we can to offer an environment for our children to play and grow and learn. And we need to exercise our abilities when it comes to our seniors. Next week, or on the 14th, we're going to have as a guest Mr. Mike Neely and guest, and they're going to be talking about different aspects of homelessness here in Los Angeles County. Homelessness has gone down, but senior homelessness has gone up. And, it's many aspects to how you can look at that thing. Senior lose their license, and then the place where they're living, the cost to live there goes through the roof. And, if they got somewhere else to go, they're displaced. If they don't have no place to go, they just are displaced. What does that say? Okay. And then on the 21st, we have Josh, fellow Marine. He's, excuse me. He's a captain in the Salvation Army. He's there in Long Beach. He's going to be coming and talking to us about the service that is afforded through the Salvation Army and that kind of thing. I think you're going to be surprised at some of the things that the Salvation Army does. On the 16th, yours truly will be hosting a workshop at the Grand AME Church. It's a breakfast. 10435 South Central Avenue, and I'll be hosting that workshop there. So if you care to attend, let me know. You have the number. They're going to put the number up there on the screen again, and you let me know. And the first 3 callers that leave a message and a contact information, we will give them a free ticket and mail it back out to them. On the 18th, American Legion Post 109 is having its regular meeting at United Methodist Church, and you just go to American Legion Post 109 and you can be able to find all the particulars on that. As usual, we want to support all of the entrepreneurs and everything, so definitely if you're looking for that gift for someone special and that kind of thing, go to amaluxury.com and see if there's something special for that special person in your life. Again, we want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in to the Raymond Hall Show. I would ask you to like us. I would ask you to tell your friends about us, and we want to hear from you. What is it that you want to hear? I just took this show to talk about a day of grace because for me, that yesterday was significant to know that I've been given 18 years and more life. So when you go to the Proverbs, and you go to Proverbs 3, and it talks about, my son, forget not my law, but let thine heart keep my commandments. For length of days and long life and peace shall they add to thee. Let not mercy and truth, it tells you don't forget about certain things. Oh, it's some situations going to break your heart. That's life. Okay. It's some situations going to have you overjoyed. That too is life. It's going to be times when you get to hold new births in your hands. That's life. It's going to be times when you're going to look at a dear friend and you're going to look at them for the very last time to this earth. That too is life. But have something with you that you know that made a difference to others and to you. That with the life I've been given, that I gave some service. So to those men and women that's serving across the world, serving here locally, we want to thank you for that service. Those who are serving in the armed forces of the United States. We want to invite you to stay tuned to the show because we will be doing a senior salute at East Rancho Dominguez Senior Center here in Los Angeles in several months, and that calendar is going to have dates and things added to it. So we want to make sure that we keep you posted on it. We thank you for each and everything. Let everybody know about the show. Come like us, and we will see you this time next week. But until then, God bless you, God keep you, and keep somebody through service. Have a great day.